In the outer ring of the Orion Passage, where trade ships drifted like sparks from a forge, a human supply vessel named Horizon Light carried a small crew tasked with delivering food, tools, and medicine to frontier worlds. Among them worked a young technician named Aaron. He was calm, observant, and often lost in his own thoughts while repairing scanners or aligning damaged drone parts. His quiet nature made him easy to overlook. But the crew trusted him because he never failed a task. The Horizon Light had been assigned to visit a recently contacted world known as Lore. The Lorian people were tall, elegant, and carried crystalline patterns along their faces that glowed with soft pastel colors. Their culture valued beauty in a very strict way. Perfect symmetry in those crystal lines was considered a sign of high intelligence and social worth. Any deviation, even a minor one, pushed someone to the bottom ranks of their society. The crew had been briefed on this before arrival. Humans were advised to remain polite and avoid commenting on appearance. The Lorians were not hostile, but sensitive about aesthetics. Aaron heard the briefing and nodded. He had no interest in judging people by how they looked. He cared far more about behavior, kindness, and the feeling a person brought into a room. When the ship landed near a white stone platform that shimmered under two pale suns, the human crew stepped outside. Lorian caretakers greeted them. Their tall frames reflected sunbeams in delicate pink and blue crystals. The caretakers guided the team toward a tower that served as a research and trade center. Aaron lagged behind for a moment to gather a crate of diagnostic tools. When he straightened, he noticed someone standing apart from the Lorian group. A girl, probably close to his age in human terms, watched the humans with a guarded expression. She was shorter than the caretakers around her. Her crystalline lines did not glow in smooth patterns. They twisted in uneven directions. Some crystals were dim. Others looked chipped. Strands of her silver hair hung across her face in a heavy curtain. She stepped back as if afraid of being seen, but Aaron saw her anyway. Their eyes met for a second, and the girl quickly turned away. One of the Lorian caretakers noticed his glance and whispered a hint of disapproval. "Ignore her. She carries flawed lines. She is unpleasant to look at. Not suitable for public duty." Aaron felt a strange pressure in his chest. He disliked cruelty of any kind, especially when aimed at someone who had done nothing wrong. But he had to stay respectful. So he simply nodded and moved on. Inside the tower, Aaron worked for hours repairing atmospheric filters and calibrating scanning grids for radiation storms. When he finished a shift, he walked to the open courtyard to stretch. There he saw the same girl again. She was kneeling beside a shattered container, trying to gather spilled crystal seeds. Her hands trembled with every motion. Passing Lorians walked around her with cold disinterest. Aaron stepped closer. "Need help?" She jerked in surprise, but did not look up. "No, leave it. I will fix it." Her voice was soft, as if she expected punishment at any sudden noise. Hiron crouched anyway and helped her scoop the seeds back into the box. "It is easier with two people," she hesitated. For a moment, she seemed ready to protest again, but something stopped her. She let him continue. When the seeds were gathered, she whispered, "Thank you." He nodded. "I am Aaron. You are." She looked away again. "Leary." A distant shout echoed across the courtyard. A Lorian supervisor walked toward them, irritation visible in the sharp brightness of her crystals. "Leary, stop wasting time. Do not bother our guests. Your face brings discomfort. Go finish your assigned cleaning." Leary lowered her gaze as if shrinking under the words. She hurried away without raising her head. Aaron watched her go. A knot formed in his stomach. Every instinct told him she deserved better. Later that evening, he found himself walking along the quiet outer halls of the tower. Most of the human crew was resting. Lorien chambers glowed faintly with soft lights. As he turned a corner, he heard someone crying. The sound was faint but raw. He followed the sound to a small garden between two pillars. Leary sat on a bench with her arms around her knees. Her silver hair hid half her face. Her crystal lines gave off only a faint, dull shimmer. Aaron stepped softly, so he would not startle her. "Leary." She wiped her eyes and kept her gaze fixed on the ground. "You should not be here. People stare when you talk to me. They say you should not look at me." Aaron sat at the far end of the bench and kept his voice calm. "I do not care what they say." She let out a small, broken laugh. "Everyone here calls me ugly. My lines are twisted. My glow is weak. That means I have low worth. I know this. I do not need reminders." Aaron turned his head toward her. "Do you want my honest thought?" She hesitated. After a long pause, she nodded. "You are lovely." Leary froze. Her breath caught mid-inhale. She looked at him for the first time without hiding behind her hair. The glow of the garden lights reflected across her face. The uneven lines along her cheeks shimmered like cracked glass touched by starlight. "No one has ever said that to me," she whispered. "I mean it," Aaron replied. "Beauty is not a pattern. It is the way someone carries themselves, the way they look at the world. When you talk, you sound gentle. When you work hard. When others speak to you with disrespect, you stay kind. That is rare. That is lovely." Leary looked away again, but this time her shoulders shook for another reason. Not sadness, but disbelief so strong it almost hurt. "Why would you say that?" she asked. "Because it is true," he said. A long silence stretched between them. But it was warm, not uncomfortable. Over the next days, Aaron saw Leary often. She walked with more confidence now. Not much, but enough for others to notice. When she spoke, her voice carried a little more steadiness. She told Aaron about Lorien culture, their deep history, and their strict ideals. She also confessed that she dreamed of becoming a technician like him, but was never allowed to train. Because her appearance lowered her status, Aaron encouraged her. When he repaired equipment, he explained each step softly while she watched from a careful distance. She asked questions. He answered everyone. Slowly, a small spark of pride grew in her eyes. One afternoon, a sudden electrical surge struck a main conduit in the tower. The alarms blared. If the damaged conduit was not isolated, it could collapse the filtration units that sustained the breathable atmosphere inside the structure. Lorien technicians panicked. Many fled rather than risk being blamed for failure. Aaron rushed toward the core room. The air crackled with arcs of energy. Leary stood near the door, gripping a panel of tools as if she wanted to help, but was afraid. Aaron called out, "I need a second pair of hands." "Come." She shook her head at first, fear locking her in place. But then another spark burst across the metal floor. Aaron shielded himself and shouted again, "Leary, I trust you." That single sentence changed everything. She ran forward. Together, they navigated the failing machinery. Aaron disabled the primary relays, while Leary balanced energy flow from auxiliary sources. Her knowledge of Lorien architecture allowed them to predict which conduits would overload next. She worked fast, more confident than she had ever been allowed to be. Aaron guided her hands only when she asked. Sweat beaded on both their faces as voltage roared around them. A final cable needed to be pulled to isolate the fault. Leary reached for it without hesitation. The surge ended in a sharp flash. The room fell silent. They had saved the filtration system. Moments later, a group of Lorien supervisors arrived. Their eyes widened as they saw Leary standing beside the repaired core. At first they looked confused. Then something shifted in their crystal glow. Respect. One supervisor addressed her with a tone she had never heard from them. You prevented a disaster. Your knowledge was valuable. Leary did not know how to respond. Instead, she looked toward Aaron. He gave her a small, encouraging nod. When the crisis ended, the humans prepared to leave. The Horizon light hummed as its engines powered up. Aaron packed his tools and walked toward the ramp. Leary followed slowly behind him. You are leaving, she said. For now, he replied. But your people saw what you can do. They cannot deny your skill anymore. She took a shaky breath. Will you come back? He smiled. Yes, I want to see how far you go. She stepped closer, her crystalline lines glowing brighter than he had ever seen. No one has ever believed in me like you did. When you called me lovely, everything changed inside me. I want to be worthy of that. You already are, Aaron said. A soft breeze passed between them as the suns dipped lower in the sky. She looked at him with a mixture of hope and gratitude that words could not hold. He gently placed a hand on her shoulder. Not romantic, not dramatic, just steady and real. You can become anything you want now, he said. The ship door opened. The call for boarding echoed. Leary whispered, Thank you for seeing me. Aaron answered, Thank you for showing who you really are. He stepped onto the ramp. She watched him go with a new strength in her stance. The uneven crystals along her skin shimmered, proudly like a constellation that refused to hide. The horizon light rose into the sky, leaving a trail of blue light behind. Leary stood on the platform until it disappeared into the clouds. Later that night, she walked through the tower halls. The same halls where she had once moved quietly, so others would not notice her. But now heads turned for another reason. People stepped aside, not with avoidance, but with respect. She had proven her worth. Inside her room, she looked at her reflection.